Welcome to the Human Happy Hour podcast. I'm Jason Argento, and I'm here with Rena. And we were going to interview a gentleman named Marshall Allen, but he passed away on May 19th. And rather than just take him off the books, and because a lot of his stuff meant a lot to both of us, we decided to say a little something about what, you know, he did. So we didn't want to make it a full episode because a lot of his friends have said a lot of stuff about him, but we wanted to say something. So we got 5 topics here that we wanted to talk about.
So,
Um,
yeah. Also, I think what I really wanted to call out because the compelling part of this episode was supposed to be in conversation with him. Of course, it's hard to do an episode without him, but uh, I really admired his work at ProPublica. Was an avid follower of his on LinkedIn, and it's such a shame to lose somebody very unexpectedly who just really cared deeply about helping people and getting to the truth. And he has such an impressive body of work and background that I was really surprised that he agreed
yeah,
to go on our show and talk to us.
yeah,
I was like,
he's
who are we? We're not anybody yet. And
uh,
I was like, wow, this guy that I've been admiring from afar, looking at his work, reading, I think it was like a Substack that I followed. It was either because of him or like in part some of his writings. And and I was just like, wow, he agreed to be here with us. And we were really excited. I was so excited to talk to him. And then very unexpectedly, like just before the episode, he was in correspondence with our producer, and then I happened to be on LinkedIn again, and I saw an article that came out announcing that he had passed, and I was just absolutely shocked. Um, and so we talked, and of course wanted to say something about this because it you don't find a lot of people that maintain their integrity and do this type of work. It's kind of a rare breed, I think, especially in media
mhm.
today.
Yeah, I watched the memorial that his friend did on YouTube, which I'll put a link in the description. Um, what's his name? His name is, do you remember his name? It should pop up.
Uh,
Wait, let me just click on it here.
yeah, when you click on it, his name doesn't come up.
Oh, that's not good advertising for
Or
his
wait,
channel.
no, here it links Dr. Eric Bricker.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched this whole video that he did on him, and I get apparently they were really good friends. They would hang out together, him and his wife, and him and Marshall and his wife. And actually, a lot of this has to do with how religious he was, which I did not know. Apparently, he was very much into the Bible and spreading the word of Jesus. But one of the things that I really liked hearing about is how much he helped people. Um, like he would find people that had lots of healthcare bills, and he actually would start a fund me for them, and then end up clearing their bills for them. Like I'm not sure how he picked them, but that's just amazing in itself. I was just like, wow, that's just incredible. Um, and he's so busy, like so many things he could do. He did, and he had so much that he was doing, and he found time to do that. Like maybe he had people that did it. I don't know, but like I can't. Sometimes people are just so amazing when they have so much time, or they don't seem to have much time, but they seem to find time for things that are really important, and it makes me feel bad about myself. And yeah, he's a really good guy, and he made me feel bad about myself. Made me want to become a better person, I guess.
He's also, I feel like we don't find a lot of these examples, but people that are deeply religious and that guides their values, and they seem
Yeah.
to have values based on that and live
Yeah.
by that and go out into the world and do
Yeah.
good things. And I so often you see a lot of hypocrisy in people that have this
Hmm.
faith, but his seems to have guided him
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
right
He
way.
gave Christians a really good name. It was like one of the good
Uh,
examples. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. And he was a former ProPublica investigative reporter. And so I, of course, found ProPublica's tribute to him, which I thought was very well done. And in there, they listed that he died from a heart attack, which so it must have been something that was very, very, very sudden, it seems. And there was an excellent quote actually in here from one of his friends. Um, if I can.
52 years old. That is my age.
Mhm.
I still, that stuff really freaks me out. And apparently he was, was it kind of a, healthy guy? So I guess you just don't know.
Yeah, you really, yeah. And so to your point, like some of the quotes in here, like from his wife and from colleagues and friends, and here is like his wife said hundreds and hundreds of people called him and he helped them navigate their bills.
Hmm.
And she said he never charged anyone and used any money he received from his newsletter to hire patient advocates for people who needed additional help. And yeah, and he also, of course, has a book that called "Never Pay the First Bill" and other ways to fight the healthcare system and win. And he just has a tremendous body of work, just really helping people advocate for themselves and fight this system that is just getting worse and worse by the day.
Yeah, that makes me really
And
interested. I wonder what that means. Never paid the first bill. Like, I mean, I mean, I know some 80-year-old people that don't pay any bills because any health bills because of, it's what's going to happen if they do. If they don't, nothing. But like, what does that mean? Do you know the premise of never pay
yeah,
the
I
first
mean,
bill?
because often like if you start paying or you pay, like you kind of accept that that is
Hmm.
the bill is correct, right?
Oh,
So, um, yeah, and so a lot of times like they're inflating or like are there ways to fight and negotiate, but if you
right.
pay it, you
Yeah,
you can't get that money back. Like nobody's gonna give it
right. And
back,
now they
right?
have
If you
proof
pay it.
that you decided that it was okay.
Yeah, and then even if you start paying on it, they'll go, "Well, you started paying." And yeah, and it's of course always easier to advocate
Hmm.
when you don't give them money.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's the kind of premise of it. And yeah, and I hadn't read his book, but I followed the newsletter and like all of the other writings, and I had meant to read his book, which I still can. But I used to follow a lot of the writings around it, the newsletter things on LinkedIn, and I would look at some of the resources. And it was also how like I went and started looking for myself, like, oh, well, what hits your credit? And certain things, and did some research and realized, oh, now they've changed rules so that if you've got a bill, if it's like under $500, it's now not gonna hit your credit.
Hmm.
So, which means I'm like, well, if it's not going to stop you from being able to rent or being able to do things that you need to
Hmm.
do, and you can't afford that like $300 bill that comes, maybe you just don't pay it.
Well, my question about that is, what if you get a $300 bill and then another $300 bill? Does that count as over 500, or are they
No,
treated
like
separately?
if they're for separate services,
Really?
then no. Yeah, it's like the same. Because I was looking this up and I'm like,
Wow.
it doesn't hit your credit, you say. Because who's got like, because like you're saying, a 300 and then another 300 and another 300
It's
and
more than that. It goes on forever.
yeah, and so, but I think like if one on one bill, like not the sum of them,
Hmm.
if it's on one bill for one service, if it's under 500, it won't hit.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. In this country, honestly, anything you can do to screw the health system. I hate our system so much. It is so horrifying. Every time I have to deal with it, all I do is see contradictions, things that make absolutely no sense, and I could definitely come up with a better way to do it, and I'm not trained to do it at all. But it's incredible, like like the fact that let's say you're a person and you have low wages enough so that you can be on Medicaid. Um, and then let's say your parent dies and you inherit say $50,000. Okay, you're earning the same amount of money, but now that you have $50,000, rather than being excited for the individual that might be able to move ahead in their life and let them utilize the healthcare, now they take you off healthcare until you burn that $50,000 down to zero, and then you're welcome to come back onto Medicaid again. Only if you do it at the right in the window, of course, because there's like two
mhm.
windows or something in the year. And I'm just like, you know, rich people get deals all the time where they don't have to spend money all the time. Like for instance, when they take out a loan and use that money to fund their life, and then that loan you don't have to pay taxes on a loan, so they just pay back the loan and then not having to pay any taxes on anything because they took out a loan instead of using the money that they earned. Like there's so many ways that rich people get breaks. Friend of mine was talking the other day about it, and I don't remember who she quoted, but this I remember what was said, and it was rich people are rich because it's cheaper to be rich, and poor people
Mhm.
it's expensive to be poor, and it's so true. And that's just an example as the healthcare system. It's insane.
Yeah, and it also, if you're rich, it literally adds years to your life because you can get healthcare that the rest of us can't. Whether it's
Oh
like a
yeah.
uh, yeah, I mean, whether are insured or even if you are insured, if you're just an average working person,
Hmm.
it's awful. And so some of the things that it's like in this ProPublica report that they say that uh, Marshall Allen uncovered is like he would write stories about drug companies purposely making eye drops too big and setting unnecessarily short expiration dates for drugs that were still safe and effective. So, like, I mean, it's
Capitalism.
just, yeah, it's such a sick system because the everything is just profit driven. And I like you're right, I can't even deal with going into a medical setting at all. It just incenses me like instantly. And I just
Hmm.
start yelling at the doctors, like even and I'm like, you're in this too. You're in this, you're responsible.
It's all of you.
Like, yeah, and I'll go, how much and how much is this gonna cost me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like because I'm just like so mad at the system and you're not like and everybody's like a robot. Well, this is procedure and I'm like, do you understand that you're not making sense right now? Like, do you like can I talk to some logic? There is no logic in this place. And it's just I've had to like fight with them so much and it's like who wants to do that? And I have worked as a medical writer and editor and researcher and journalist. And so I'm equipped to do the research and like battle it out with them. But even I have a hard time because this thing is so ridiculous. So it's like you can't even imagine people that are not equipped to go and do that research and dig in and insist. Not only that, people from marginalized communities that are, immediately met with that
Hmm.
bias and dismissal. And yeah, this whole system, it just like makes me so angry that literally, if I have to go in and see a doctor for any reason, I'm just instantly like, like, here we go.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like just a physical where I'm just like, all right, get in, get me my numbers. Like this is covered. That was like
Hmm.
the only thing the Affordable Care Act did was get preventive care covered.
Hmm.
In my opinion, that I should say that's the only good takeaway from it. Otherwise, I think it was a huge gift to the insurance companies. But I'm like, well, at least we got preventive care, some of that covered.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people got insurance that they wouldn't have had. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the positive.
I guess sort of, but then like I hate the marketplace. Absolutely hate it. And I could never afford it. I was
I don't know what the
so
marketplace is.
like when they what they used to call Obamacare. Right.
Oh,
Like, so
okay.
like, oh, you can like, if you don't have employer insurance or you can purchase your insurance and
Oh,
we're going to give you a deal. And so part of it might be subsidized. And
oh
like, it was
God.
just it's a huge giveaway to the insurance companies. And so I just would end up whenever I was not employed by a company, I just would go without insurance because it was
Roll the
too
dice.
expensive.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah, because it's like because if you've got to pay for your rent and pay for your food, like you just can't fit that into
No.
your budget, and
Mm-hmm.
you're when you're not really gainfully employed, and even if you're doing it like as a freelancer, you've still got to pay taxes, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got to make sure you're paying your estimated taxes, your household expenses, all of that, and every time I would calculate and what the rates that they would give me, I would get to this is not sustainable
Mm-hmm.
for me to have the healthcare. And then whatever I would be even remotely be able to afford to purchase, I wouldn't use anyway because I wouldn't go to the doctors because I like to pick my own doctors because I won't just go to somebody because I don't trust them like so
Mm-hmm.
deeply. Uh, because the system is it's just so bad. I was just reading an article, I think by The Hill about talking about maternity care and just how bad that is. And some of the people quoted in there were talking about how they're uh, if they had Medicaid, their doctor and they couldn't you couldn't pick your doctor and you just kind of get assigned and they were just dismissive and they were just getting terrible care. Yeah, I mean, the maternity care is just awful, awful in this country. But it was a whole piece just talking about how unsafe pregnant people felt, like just
Yeah.
engaging with the system. And then, like, all of these times when people were dismissed and they're saying, like, this is like, no, I've done the research, or no, I don't want this. This is against my values, my view, and just completely disrespected and dismissed. And,
Mm-hmm.
just it's just awful and this is like people across the board like whether you sometimes if you whether you pick your doctor or not like and it kind of ran the gamut between like people that had Medicaid and then people that also had selected their doctor and it was just a variety of stories where it demonstrated how badly it can go and how unsafe people can feel
Mm-hmm.
trying to have a child in a hospital system in this country because it is scary.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, unless you get really lucky and find a really, really good provider, which they do exist, but I find it's very challenging to find
Yeah.
somebody that's really going to listen, I think. And it's almost like they're not trained to engage with you
Mm-hmm.
when talking about your health and in any condition. And so, which is why I won't just go to anybody. If I go somewhere, I'm looking for somebody that is going to dialogue with me and
Right.
is going to be a partner in healthcare, not somebody that's going to dictate to me or tell me, oh, well, you're wrong or and be condescending.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't need that in my healthcare. Who does?
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Between the danger that there is and the cost, people choose whether or not to, take advantage of our healthcare system, and which of course is the opposite of preventive medicine. um,
Yeah.
the argument against healthcare for all. It's where are we going to get the money? We already spend a lot of money
Mhm.
on healthcare, but if it's just like the seatbelts, everybody was against seatbelt laws. Oh wait, can you hear me anymore? Because my thing just said something weird.
I I can still hear you.
Oh,
Mm.
all right. I don't know why I just did that. But like with seatbelts, everybody was complaining that they had to wear seatbelts now, and the reason why they instituted that wasn't really about saving lives. It was about reducing the healthcare system. People were not getting hurt as much anymore when they got in car accidents, and it made the healthcare cheaper. It's the same way with free healthcare. If you have free healthcare, you'll go to the doctor when you get a little twinge, or you might even go every 6 months because you have to do your checkup, and you'll get told things ahead of time. You'll get you'll be able to address things ahead of time, and you won't have the same bills at the end of the year when you're going to the hospital in an ambulance because you didn't go for the last 3 years because it's too expensive for your doctor visits. So at the end, the entire country ends up saving money with healthcare for all. But boy, everything I just said is just a big lie conspiracy, even though it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, not only that, it's like if you de-incentivize these institutions, these hospitals and practices for being just so for profit,
yeah,
people will get better care because it'll be about the care and then I think you will save money because they will get preventative care.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, I've read stories, I think in ProPublica about hospitals shutting down like children's wards and maternity wards because, oh, these are not as profitable
mm,
as some of the other treatment. And it's like, but people need this type of health
hmm,
care. Like,
yeah,
you can't just shut down the children's ward because it doesn't churn a profit. It's
yeah,
those sort of things that like people will get better care
hmm,
if you make care the incentive and not
yeah.
profit the
A
incentive.
lot of times I hear the argument, doctors go to medical school because they want to make a lot of money. And I say, well, I don't want them as my doctor. I want the doctors that want to be doctors.
and
Yeah,
and make medical school free too.
yeah,
Make
oh,
it free
yes,
and let the
yeah.
people that want to help
That
help.
aspire to be a doctor. They want to be, not because, well, I picked med school because my dad was forcing me. He said it's either law or med school, and so I picked
Mm.
med school, and now I make a lot of money. Ha! But it doesn't sound like your heart was in it, really. I mean, there's enough people on the planet or in the country, I should say, that you're gonna find a bunch of people that actually just really want to be doctors, and they might not have enough money to go. But if it
Yeah.
all evens out in the end, where we'll be just fine. There'll be enough doctors, and they'll be probably be more passionate about it. It's the same with politicians. It's the same with every industry, really. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
like you get people that want the people don't want to become teachers so they don't get paid enough, and people want to be doctors and lawyers and all this stuff because they get paid more. Well, you get all the greedy people going towards the stuff, and then you get all the people that are left behind to do all the really important things, also like being a teacher. It's so fucking messed up. It's just insane, and it's
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, we could go on 4
yes,
hours about this. This is
yes we
true
could.
about all of these issues, but I think we're coming up on our next show
Yeah.
soon, I guess.
Hmm.
So, uh, but I guess this is all to say that we were really excited about to talk to Marshall Allen about this topic and to interview him and really looking forward to it. And so I just wanted to say something and and a thank you to him for even agreeing to come on our podcast
Hmm.
and talk to us. I wanted to acknowledge that and just speak to how much work he did just tirelessly advocating for people both through his investigative journalism and the advocacy
Hmm.
for people that had probably nobody else or nowhere else to turn to
Yeah.
when they were facing these medical bills.
Yeah, we need more Marshall Allens.
Yes. Yes. And there was, here's the, okay. So this was a quote that I liked at the end of the ProPublica piece. His friend wrote on that went to go and visit him in the hospital. Wrote in the final hours, this is what I told him. He wrote on LinkedIn, Marshall, we watched you fight tirelessly for the voiceless and become a fierce advocate for the defenseless. A fight many will continue.
Hmm.
Oh. So I like
Yeah.
to think that there are people out there taking up the mantle and will keep some of the things that he had going. And there's also a GoFundMe page that people created to support his family.
Well, rest in peace, Marshall Allen.